Now, the coronavirus pandemic is already having a real impact on the world's largest economy. Jobless claims out of the United States have soared past 6.5 million. This as stringent lockdown measures are enforced in more jurisdictions to control the spread of COVID-19. For more on these numbers, we can go across to our business editor, Bryan Quinn, who is working from home today. Bryan, just how significant are these numbers?
They are huge. 6.6 million Americans filed new unemployment benefits claims last week. A huge record. It comes just 1 week after the previous record was set with 3.3 million claims the last week. So that makes nearly 10 million Americans who've lost their jobs in the past 2 weeks alone. It's a stunning figure. To put it in perspective, the so-called Great Recession of 2008-2009 resulted in a net loss of around 9 million jobs over 2 years. We've now blown past that figure in just 2 weeks. All the job gains since Donald Trump took office and half the job gains since the end of the last recession just wiped out in 2 weeks. And in fact, those numbers are probably understating the real scope of the damage. It often takes a week or two for people to properly file unemployment insurance claims after they've lost their jobs. That might not even be the full picture. We're now looking at 10% unemployment in the second quarter in the U.S., that again already rivaling the Great Recession. And there has been some criticism of America's focus on boosting unemployment insurance for jobless workers rather than paying businesses to keep workers on payroll, which is one thing that is becoming quite common here in Europe during this crisis. France, for instance, has received requests to put about 4 million workers on state-subsidized furloughs, where the state actually pays the wages of the workers to keep them from losing their jobs when the company doesn't have the money. UK is covering 80% of wages just to keep people in jobs that have been shut down during this crisis. Now, the US does have a version of that sort of a program in its recent $2 trillion stimulus bill. It's a $349 billion government-guaranteed bank loan program aimed at helping small businesses keep their payrolls going for up to 8 weeks. But a number of U.S. banks have said that they are quite wary of participating in that program because they don't really fully understand rules. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, though, does say that program will go forward, and in fact, it's launching today.
Bryan, the other big story of the day coming from the energy markets is after the U.S. President Donald Trump has taken to Twitter saying he's spoken to his friend MBS, Mohammed bin Salman, regarding cuts to oil production.
Yeah, a big day in the past 24 hours for oil. Percentage-wise, crude prices had their best day on record ever Thursday. WTI, West Texas Intermediate, gained more than 24.5%. Brent crude jumped nearly 18%. That came after that tweet from Donald Trump. He spoke to CNBC, also telling reporters that he had spoken with Vladimir Putin of Russia and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and that those two had agreed to cut their oil production by 10 to 15 million barrels per day. That would be a huge number. That's roughly 10 to 15% of global supply. However, to put it in perspective, global demand is expected to drop by 30% in April due to the coronavirus. So not sure it's really going to put a floor under it, even if it does go through. However, not everyone is sure that it will go through. Oil prices fell back based on doubts that that deal could go through between the Saudis and the Russians without American producers agreeing to their own production cuts. Trump said he has not offered to cut U.S. production across the board. In fact, he couldn't. It's against the law by U.S. antitrust laws. He can't actually do it. So this price war between Riyadh and Moscow could keep going. We're not sure. Along with the plummeting demand due to the virus that has seen crude oil prices at 18-year lows in recent days. But one collateral victim of that has been the U.S. shale industry. In fact, U.S. firms, it's very expensive to pump shale gas out of the ground, and the firms can't actually maintain profitability when oil prices are this low. So companies like ExxonMobil, Occidental Petroleum based in the U.S. could be in serious trouble if oil prices stay as low as they are. Now, Trump is meeting with the heads of at least 7 energy companies at the White House on Friday. We'll see what comes out of that meeting. There's some speculation that he might turn to one of his favorite trade tools, the tariff to put on Saudi oil in an attempt to help out U.S. producers, but we don't know that yet. The Saudis, for their part, have called an emergency meeting of OPEC plus Russia via video conference on Monday. That'll be another meeting to look out for in the coming days to see what actually happens, if there's something to put a floor under oil prices amid this huge crash on the markets. But oil futures are back up a little bit on Friday, so obviously traders are holding out some hope there.
We'll see what happens. Brian, thank you very much for the update. Bryan Quinn reporting that.